When you travel abroad, the one thing that you know is your life will be transformed. For those of you that have traveled abroad, you've experienced a transformation that no one else can understand unless they've also traveled with you. And even that, you can travel in a group of 10 people and still everyone doesn't have the same experience. Today I'm going to be joined on live with Kia from Traverse Travel and Culture, actually Traverse Culture. She is an expert in Kenyan travel. My East African folks, y'all know I love you. She is an expert in that, specializing in Afrocentric regenerative travel, Afrocentric regenerative travel, because that is exactly what happens when you travel anywhere, but specifically the continent of Africa. And Kenya, she's got it locked down. So she has a signature integrative relocation process. We're going to talk about that. We're getting our tech together so that we can get you geared up for a conversation that hopefully will encourage you and inspire you to take action on your journey, on your dream. So welcome to the live. Hello, everyone. Come say hello if you want to be greeted. Love for you. Hello, Detroit Nail Assassin. Hello. Yes, it transformed your life. It also transformed mine. So she's going to jump into all of that. For those of you that are getting more familiar with my story, I live currently in South Africa, but when I first traveled to the continent of Africa, it was Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and it literally changed my life forever. I am a different person. People that see me, that know me now, they know like, oh, that's a different Ashley. Like we see her in a totally different light. And that's great. I love that because it literally transformed me. And it's one of the reasons why we've created this platform. We've created the platform Africa Investors Academy, Ashley in Africa, so that we could share what traveling, moving, and doing business looks like here on the continent of Africa. So yes, WeWork South Africa joining. Hello, I love me some WeWork. I'm currently here at WeWork. This is not a sponsored post. This is my WeWork. Yeah. Hello, thank you for joining. We're waiting for our exceptional guest of honor. She'll be joining us shortly. Let's see. We got some really good questions coming up. Some really good questions for Kia, but I want to know, yes, there she is. She's coming on in. We're really excited to collaborate in community because our ecosystem, we are a community of diasporans returning to the continent. Our experience being here has been transformative, right? We followed each other for months, potentially even years, and we're now collaborating because what we recognize, hi,
Okay, hi.
it worked.
I went back on my live. My bad.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. I figured we would try it this way. We would try it, but welcome Kia and Kia's community, the Traverse Culture community. Welcome.
Hello. How y'all doing?
Fantastic. So I was just giving them a little bit of spiel on how traveling to the continent really transformed my life. And I know that's really what you do with your community of travelers. And I've been wanting to ask you this. What is regenerative travel, Afrocentric regenerative travel? Tell me about that.
I like that. Yes. You are the first person to ever ask me what is Afrocentric regenerative travel.
Really?
Yeah, like whenever I do interviews, no one ever asks that first. So that is so good. Thank you.
Yes.
I like how your mind works. So Afrocentric regenerative travel is simply our mission of showcasing the contributions of marginalized cultures globally within 63 countries around the world while advocating for policy reforms in tourism. Now, I will say that in simpler terms. What we do is when we curate all of our travel experience, because we're not a travel agency, we don't buy trips from another company and sell them and upcharge and sell them. We curate them based off of our relationships, community activists, and putting our pulse on marginalized cultures, such as the Nubian people here in Kenya. We were able to create a naming ceremony, which really doesn't exist in any African tribe, right? Typically, you get a naming ceremony when you're born, right? But because we are coming back to the continent, it is a rebirth. And so we were able to curate a naming ceremony with the Nubian people of Kibera here in Kenya and create economical sustainability for them through the service now they provide to us exclusively, but also preserve the culture in a way that we're able to add value to and not take away. So that's that regenerative piece, is preserving cultures while adding value to it. Also advocating for policy reforms in the tourism sector that only tells the story about most countries where we see indigenous people of color from a colonial mindset or colonial positioning. And so what we do is we go into the country and we advocate for these cultures directly with the local government, whether it's the city, like we work with the city of Belize and the mayor of Belize City and working with the Garifuna people there. We also did it in Panama for the Afro-Panamanians whose voices are not heard through travel. There is no such thing as Afro-tourism or Afro-Panamanian tourism in Panama or Belize. So we brought Afrocentric regenerative travel to Belize and Panama, and now even here in Kenya, dealing with some of the marginalized cultures. I hope I answered that.
You absolutely did. And I know why, but because that conversation around sustainable tourism, now that Africa is seeing double digits in increase of tourism, all of the countries really are reporting increase in tourism. Why is it so important to have this sustainable tourism? Like, why does that matter? And why should people care, especially melanated people?
Now, thank you. Ooh, I like you. Yo, this is our first interview, okay? So, and as you will get to know, I'm a straightforward person and I just say how I feel. But I love that. That's a great question. Why should we care? I'm gonna keep it all the way a buck. Typically what we see, African Americans, us in the States, we create this euphoria or this notion of Africa in our mind. And Africa becomes a country and not a continent. And we then take all of the education that we think we know because of the books we read, the movies we saw, the documentaries, the scholars that we follow, and we just create this entire, I don't know, fantasy. And then we get here and then we start telling people how to do what they already been doing in their own countries. And I know you've seen it, right? And so for me, listen, so for me, even myself, being a conscious and aware Pan-Africanist, I too had to check myself through the process of making sure that relationship building with our, I like to call them our cousins, because we do have a very distant disconnect, which we can leverage. It's not a bad thing. It's something we can leverage because it's data and wealth in that. But me, myself, had to also check myself and say, I can't come into these people culture who predated me, and I'm only 42 years old, and they've been doing this for hundreds of years, and tell them what they should do. But what I can do is add value to what they already have in place so that it is not disrespecting their culture. It is preserving the culture, and I'm making sure that I'm operating with a conscious mind. I like to call it conscious trade and commerce, because we essentially come from a country of capitalism. So I don't care how black you say you are American, and you do have a capitalist mindset. You find out when you get here.
Yeah.
This, the moment someone do something you don't like or you don't understand, you become American. So this is why it is so important that we create sustainability, we preserve those cultures, and we check ourselves through conscious commerce and trade.
Oof, you said a word and a half and an encyclopedia worth. It is so true. Everything you said is so important. It's similar to why we created the Africa Investors Academy, because there's a learning process that doesn't happen on just one call, one video, one reel, right? It's a journey of reconnecting, relearning,
Yes.
unlearning, and you know, getting yourself together, like
Yes.
pulling, they say in South Africa, like I don't know how to say it in the language, but it's like pull yourself towards yourself,
Right.
like bring yourself back towards yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
recognize that there may be something that you need to reconsider. And I
Mm-hmm.
constantly find myself doing that and trying to do that in my content as well, because there's so many misconceptions, and for our entire
Mm-hmm.
lives that disjointment has created a ripple effect. Like it's
Yes.
been passed down generationally, right? So I love that you're so intentional with that, and you've been successful in it, obviously, because you're now permanently in Kenya, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm in my new apartment, my new house.
Yes, congratulations.
I don't have any furniture yet, but there you go.
It doesn't matter, because you're there, you're home.
Yes.
And for people that have an interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
What inspired you to create this experience or this company?
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
Okay. So I will start by introducing myself. My name is Kia Wakesho Simmons. I have taken on my Kenyan name as my middle name. Wakesho means the future because I was born in the morning. It is a Taita name. I started my journey of traveling to the continent back in 2011. I went to Ethiopia first and I loved it. And then I landed in Mombasa, Kenya, and I fell in love with Kenya the first trip in August of 2011. And that began my love story with Kenya. And so my background is also ex-military. I did 5 years in the military. Then I got out and I did 7.5 years as a civilian contractor in Afghanistan, Europe, the Middle East, if you will. And within that time frame of civilian contracting, I visited, now I'm at 46 countries, and I've lived in 8 countries, including Kenya now. And doing that process of getting to know who Kia is, because I'm a little girl. I like to always say I'm the little girl from Charleston, South Carolina, originally of the Gullah Geechee culture. Shout out to the 843 and the Gullah Geechee culture in Charleston, South Carolina, who dropped out of high school and got a GED, and now have been able to travel the world. But while traveling the world, I thought about us as a people. And I'm getting to know myself as a Black person from America, now globally. And I'm like, wait a minute, I need to share this with other people through travel, because travel has been my university. It has been school for me. I've been successful with learning from just travel and culture exchange and meeting beautiful people like yourself. And so in 2018, I created my first company, Worldviews, which was a travel concierge company. I did co-own it, and up until 2023, and I had a bad business breakup, and the ancestors was like, hey, yo, you got work to do. So I don't know what you think this is. You ain't stopping here. We're going to keep the momentum going. So figure out what it is that you want to do. And that's where Traverse Culture came about in 2023. We rebranded ourselves. We upped the ante, we leveled up. And now we are a travel concierge company that specializes in humanitarian work, relocation assistance, business development, and now medical tourism inbound to Kenya. And then on the side, we do own a real estate development company called Pineville homes where we will be building an estate next year.
Fantastic.
But yeah, that's kind of how I got here.
Yes, that's amazing. And we're going to get a little bit into the medical tourism piece because that's so important. People have like availability of healthcare and, oh, what about healthcare? And it's like, have you seen the numbers of healthcare? But we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But let's start with those misconceptions, right? What are some of the, from your experience, what are some of the top misconceptions people have about relocating or investing in Kenya? And does your company address, and how does your company address them?
Yeah, so that is one of the most important part is the misconception. Now, the angle that I like to take nowadays, because we got a lot of scammers, and I'm talking about scammers who are from America who look like me and you. They out here scamming left and right. And it's these content creators who then become business owners to survive. Okay?
Who
So
are you coming for next?
I'm grabbing them because we don't got time to play.
We don't.
We have
Instagram
no
only give
time.
us 55 minutes. So you're right. Let's go.
Okay, especially people like you and I who putting in the work. We can't have people out here giving us bad names.
Yeah.
So the first misconception is that you think you can. First off, Kenya and South Africa is like the upper echelon of Africa. So it is almost as if you relocate into Europe. Okay, because you have to have your ducats in row. You have to make sure that these countries are conducive to your financial status, if you're able to sustain yourself, and immigration. That one is eating y'all up left and right because you're seeing what they're doing in Ghana and you trying to make that work across the board and between South Africa and Kenya, and that ain't it. You have to qualify for particular immigration permits or visas, and they cost money. Okay, and so Kenya, for instance, is not one of those countries where you could just pick up and try to survive here, especially not in Nairobi. It's a very robust, multicultural city, and you need to have money to survive. And that's one of the misconceptions, that you can come here and live off of $500 a month. Or like I just had someone who is looking to customize a 2-week tour and their budget is $1,400. Where you think you're going? Ghana and Kenya and South Africa is two different places. Ghana is not even on the same playing field as Kenya and South Africa, just to be fair. And so while you can go to Ghana, and I heard even Ghana is becoming more expensive now because all of the influx of foreigners coming in to the country. But you can still go on like the countryside and maybe live off of $500. I don't know. Whereby Kenya, you can, if you are single and you want to live in something like this, which is really, really nice. You can probably, for a single person, live comfortably with about $2,000. I would say 25, so you're not penny pinching and you can kind of just live freely. Now that's not bad.
No,
at all.
You can really do that anywhere in a metropolitan way in the US or Europe. Like, well, I don't know. Let me not speak about Europe because I don't know Europe.
Yeah.
But North America, there's no metropolitan city that you can live in for a cost of living of under $2,000.
Under $2,000 you can, but you need to have income coming in.
Correct.
You can't say, oh, if I save $10,000, can I just move there? You're going to hurt yourself because that $10,000 going to go in the first 90 days. You have to relocate here. And the misconception of relocation is you don't think that you have to have the money up front to pay for the services, people. You got to pay for the services. The services include your immigration. It includes household goods shipment if you need to do that. It includes transitional housing, permanent housing. If you have children, education assistance to enroll them in school. And now that you're doing that in Africa, you have to pay school fees. So the misconception is financial stability. People do not get that, and immigration. You cannot just come to Kenya and get citizenship. They're not giving out citizenship like Ghana. That's not going to ever probably come up no time soon. And I'm kind of glad, because we as Black folks should be able to position ourselves to work for what it is that we want.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to get off my...
No, it's true. And I say, you know, I'm at the point where I also am communicating, listen, you need financial discipline. If you have not exhibited financial discipline in your life at any point, this isn't for you. So it's just not for you, because you are going to have to know how to budget.
Yep.
You need to know how to spend. You need to know how to negotiate. You need to research. There are places, and you and I have seen it, and we've seen people come and go, and the conversation quickly turns to, this country ain't this or that, when in fact
it's you. Tell the truth now.
You ain't this or that, because you did not have the preparation mindset or the financial discipline to recognize that, yes, while this is our birthright, it is also our responsibility to come responsibly.
Thank you.
Right? And to do so with a level of intention that isn't to take, to expect, to only receive. While that is important, that is an important process of returning. It is equally as important to come responsible, to come prepared, to come ready to give and contribute. And that also includes being a part of the process, because it's not going to be simple, and it's not supposed to be simple.
And then it's like relocate into any country in the world. The difference is that this is our birthright. We do have a connection through our roots, but you should be able to do your due diligence no matter where. And we'll say this is what I say. I do not, this is me saying this. I do not subscribe to repatriation. And I'm going to tell you why. That's a very dangerous thing to play with. And I've seen it mess people's lives up, and they get over here and they can only sustain about 6 months, and they're back in the States. Because repatriation is telling someone, I'm saying those who spew this rhetoric of repatriation instead of integration. This is what I say. Instead of integration, it positions people in a place where they skip a lot of necessary steps that totally interrupts the process for you to be able to fully settle into an African country. And so I don't subscribe to repatriation. I subscribe to integration versus repatriation, because by doing by integrating into the country, you fully indulge yourself into the culture, the political climate, the social awareness of the country, healthcare, everything that you need to be able to sustain yourself, as opposed to think you come into a country that you actually aren't from. You're American. You're a foreigner moving to a country, and you happen to have African roots.
I definitely made that mistake in the beginning, only because that was the only messaging that I heard.
Yes.
I only heard repatriation, repatriate, or repat.
Yes.
It was the only thing that I heard.
Yes.
And then I get what you're saying. I had to have some other people that have been in it. It was actually one of my really good friends who is a Jamaican British, who has children in Tanzania, and he had been there for 12 years, and he was like, listen, you're not African.
No.
You're
very
not.
much American.
Like, you see this as paradise, they see this as something else.
Yes.
You need to understand their perspective and why, and it was very, like, I'm a quick learner, and I love listening to wisdom, because I recognize I don't know everything. The man that knows everything knows nothing. And I've learned that. That's also a part of this process. And being willing to learn and recognize that 9 times out of 10, everything you thought you knew is wrong, especially about Africa, the continent, the people. And then when you start getting involved in integrating, you learn even more. And that's the process, right? That's the process. But to your point, the people that don't end up staying is because they're not willing to do that part of the work. They're so fixed on their belief system, what they think they know, why they think what they know is right, versus considering, this is another way to think of this thing. So when you were talking about the medical aspect, right? So we all know, even those watching live from the US know what is happening from a medical perspective in our country, especially with our people. What about that part of your business was so important for you to add as a value add to your community? Why did you decide to add medical tourism? Because we only hear medical tourism for places like Colombia, Brazil, Dominican Republic.
Yes.
And those are typically for cosmetic things, right? Turkey. But why add medical tourism to your offering?
Yeah. So I had been indulging in medical tourism for maybe 15 years now and didn't know that that's what that was. Mainly dental. And so I got my braces done in Dubai. I got some work done in Thailand while I was in Thailand. I got my teeth bleached in Panama. And then I came to Kenya. And then in 2019, I sprained my ankle and my knee on one of those little Segway things. And I thought that I was going to be okay, but the pain just kept on going. And my team was like, let us take you to the hospital. And so they took me to a hospital here called MP Shah. And they are JCI accredited, I believe, which means Joint Commission accreditation, which they're accredited from the United States. So they're a state-of-the-art hospital. And they wheeled me in. I registered. No, I'm gonna tell you how to process, and I'm gonna ask y'all how much y'all think it costs. They wheeled me in. I registered as an American. Then they wheeled me to the back to the emergency room. They asked me how much pain I had. They gave me some pain medicine for the pain. I think I waited for 30 minutes. They took me to take a CT scan of my knee and my ankles. They diagnosed that it was just fractured, or sprained. Excuse me, not fractured. And then they gave me my medicine, and then they also gave me my x-rays. I was like, why y'all giving me my x-rays? It was like, you paid for it. I was like, oh, they don't do that in the States. You don't get your, unless you request them, and you don't even know that you can request them, you know what I mean, unless someone tells you. But they gave me the x-ray. How much do you think that cost? I was in there less than 2 hours.
I mean, I'm probably gonna, knowing medicine, how medical services, what, maybe $500?
No, $70. That day, I realized that we have been bamboozled, hoodwinked, because I went to the state-of-the-art hospital. The service was amazing. The fraction of the price and the fraction of the time that it would take me to go to the hospital in the States. I went to the urgent care before I left here. I thought I had some hemorrhaging, and I was there for an hour. I had a room. They gave me IV. They did a CT scan, and then I got some pain medicine. That was $6,000. Okay. And so with even just indulging in dental care, you can go anywhere in the world and it's a fraction of the price. So after that experience, I felt like now I need to supply medical tourism. But look at Africa. So South Africa has the best healthcare in the whole of Africa, especially the private sector in South Africa. And Kenya is number 2 to South Africa. So I'm saying, why should I promote us going to Turkey, going to India, going to these other locations when South Africa and Kenya has the best health in all of Africa out of 54 countries? And we're talking about in South Africa and Kenya, they're so close to having the Da Vinci hospitals in these countries where we don't even have that in the United States. We have one. They offer laparoscopic surgeries here where now these are bloodless surgeries at a fraction of the price. So while we were relocating people, I noticed that people don't think about healthcare. And I'm like, you guys are relocating elderly people to African countries and you do not have a sustainable healthcare plan. That's insane. Or you're relocating with children, you don't have pediatrician, you don't have specialists for certain needs, any of those things. You're just moving, and if something happened, you end up back in the States because you're not educated around it, or you just don't have access to it because you just don't know. And so we started medical tourism through our relocation program. And so that grew into, well, we shouldn't be just offering that to our clients that are relocating. We should be able to offer this to anyone who is looking for medical care for a fraction of the price, a fraction of the time, better healthcare services here in Kenya. And so we relaunched our medical tourism business line this year, but it's always been a part of the relocation program.
That's fantastic. And I can tell that you're so passionate about this and making sure that people have a seamless experience, just because I know that you have had challenges along the way. Like, you don't get to this place without having challenges and continuing to endure them. But the way that you think about your customer, your clientele, you're so intentional. And I just want to celebrate you, because I know what it takes to be intentional with your clients and endure some of these challenges along the way. And with all of that, right, because of how you've been so focused on the clients and helping them transition, how did you then say, okay, now we're gonna do real estate, we're gonna become developers, right? And all of these business opportunity, or all of these business engagements, what was that next level that made you decide to do that? And yes, so just jump to that.
So some of you all may or may not know, in 2023, we were gifted access to 40 acres of land by Muse Gito, and this probably is my first time publicly speaking about it, since we've had to place in a hole. And you know how land work in Africa, and you understand. So you can understand some of the frustration and some of the setbacks that you will have in that regard. But when he gifted us access to, meaning that we were able to develop on the land, but we had to pay for the land. But there were a few setbacks in terms of this was government land that was given to him as a freedom fighter. He had not given anyone access to this in like 60 years. We were the first. And there was a bit of, backlash from local Kenyans feeling a certain kind of way, and things of that nature. And then something of that magnitude, you need investors. And when you get into development is not a joke, especially here on the continent. So first off, I give my hats off to any of us that are doing a great job. Like, I think Dre and Ghana, shout out to that brother, because I know he probably been to hell and back with that project, and anybody else that's doing yourself, helping people look at development and constructions is a headache. But that kind of got us looking at developing an estate for Kenyans and Africans of the diaspora to live side by side. So we had to take a step back. I believe that we were biting a little more than we can chew. I'm just going to keep it 100 with you all.
I love that.
I'm not a real estate developer. We were going into this, based off of specialists who were helping us, and predicting that we would get investors that we needed to complete it. That didn't go the way we thought, so we have scaled back a bit, and we're looking to relaunch the project sometime next year. But we wanted to be able to have a project whereby those who we were relocating to Kenya can either rent or go with a developer here, or you can just build your own house within the estate that we are developing for the diaspora and local Kenyans.
I love that. And essentially, that's also why we created this platform, right? That you're going to be speaking on next week, March 14th through the 16th, because doing business in Africa is a process. However, and I want to ask you this, right? However, we've gone through these challenges. Everyone that is speaking, we've got over 16 speakers that are speaking, some that are, born in the US, in the diaspora, some that are born here on the continent, that are going to be sharing how they've done it, their challenges, and eliminating a lot of the guesswork. Because the truth is, it takes time, it takes relationships, and it takes resources. So you got to have your financial discipline. However, you've gotten there, that means you have a level of discernment, you are a planner, but it doesn't mitigate the risk, right? Because everything worth reward comes with risk. And so we are basically bringing in experts in different parts of Africa, Ghana, Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, and Mauritius to speak about their journey. Everyone on this in this conference has had challenges. And they're going to tell you about it, just like Kia has, but also tell you the steps so that you can avoid, so you can be successful. And so for those considering investing or relocating, can you maybe close us out with like 3 key takeaways that they should, the first 3 steps that they should make to take, that they should take to make informed decisions, and how, you know, this type of event accelerates their success?
The first thing is, what's your motivation? It's all going to be based off of your mindset. That's the first thing you would need to look at. Then the second thing is then, if you want to relocate to any of these locations, are these locations, y'all, conducive for your livelihood and the livelihood of your family? And then 3, would you be able to see yourself retiring in these countries where you can create some type of generational wealth, asset protection, and family trust? I see a lot of people looking to invest in these countries and they have no asset protection or no way to pass on any of the investments that they're making. So should you pass away, which we all are, you essentially lose everything that you have invested because you have no type of protection or no way to pass it on under a family trust or a holding company or something. So I would say that you need to know all 3 things before considering relocating or investing to any country in the world.
And that's so great. All of those things are so important. The trust piece, especially.
Yes.
I've been so grateful to work alongside amazing attorneys that are doing that. I'm actually going through that process right now as I speak.
Oh, did I go out?
No, it was me.
Okay.
Because my Bluetooth wanted to connect. That's so good. So what can people expect? Because you gave so much value today. I mean, what can people expect to learn during their time when they join us at the Africa Investors Academy Virtual Summit? Your gateway to the Africa boom next week, March 14th through the 16th.
Yes, through March the 14th through the 18th, right?
16th.
16th. Excuse me. Y'all tune in. First off, I want to give you your praises, your flowers. Sister, I've been following you for some time now, and I'll comment here and there, and I'm like, man, she's doing her thing. And we're so proud of you as well. Thank you for caring about us enough to move your family there and do the work for us. You are standing on the shoulders of our ancestors, and I hope that you never take that lightly, that you have sacrificed and you're still sacrificing to do the good work without having to put your fist in the air, but making sure that you're educating us, you're intentional, and you're very intelligent. And then on top of that, you're beautiful as well. So I wanted to thank you, and I'm honored to be a part of your panel. Thank you for considering me. Thank you. I was so honored when I saw the email. I was like, so thank you. But what they can see for the conferences, we're going to dive in deep into detail on just the opportunities you can have moving to Kenya specifically, since I'm covering Kenya. And we're going to dive into that relocation piece. We're going to really dive into travel, because that's the first thing. I should have said that first. You should travel first. Travel first.
Yep.
Travel first, because relocation is a luxury. Relocation is a luxury. Relocation is a luxury. So I'm going to get into the travel, then we're going to get into relocation. We're going to get into some humanitarian work. We're going to talk about the business development or business consulting that we do. And we're also going to get into medical tourism as well.
I love that. Yes, you have to travel first. Come as a
Yes.
tourist, see it and understand it. And I love that you said that. And I know if this is what you given, if this is what you given on the live, you definitely want to join us for the Africa Investors Academy Virtual Summit next week.
Yes.
Executive access holders will get access to asking questions, right? Like people are going to get to come and ask you questions in detail, which is also a luxury. To be able to have access to you, and then also get access to your offers and what you provide and the premium luxurious services that you provide. So join us. If you are here on the live, go ahead and comment summit. You'll get access to that link to join us next week. And then if you're catching us on the replay, still comment summit, and you can get access to join us. And then go over to Kia, go over to her Instagram, subscribe, follow, all of that. And actually, if you're watching, go to her link in bio. Make sure that you get the link in her bio, and you can purchase your ticket there.
Yes, it's right in our link tree. If you click it, it's right at the top. You click that and you can register. I want to see y'all there because, I mean, Ashley has put together, I mean, if we put a dollar amount on the information that you all are going to have access to, forget it. It's a multi-million-dollar summit. So I will say, if you are watching this and you're watching the playback, click the link in the bio. Come to the summit. We'll see you there. Yeah.
Yes. Period.
Period, fool.
Thank you, Kia, so much. I cannot wait to do this again with you next week.
Yes.
I think we're going to do it again for YouTube, maybe. So that might be dope.
Yeah, we're doing YouTube, yes?
Yes, we're going to do YouTube. We're going to do it.
We're doing YouTube, so we'll see you there. I'm going to get off here, but thank you for having me, and I'll see you guys on YouTube. Peace.
Bye, Kia. See you soon. Fantastic. So you heard her. You heard her. She let you know the Africa Investors Academy Virtual Summit is jam-packed with value. I mean, just if you look at the 15 to 16 hours of content, value, information, legal advice, tax advice, investment opportunities. If you are serious about investing in the fastest growing economies in the world, you definitely want to be there. If you yourself are an investor and you're looking for opportunities, businesses, we're going to have a ton of businesses there looking for investment. Yeah. And if you're a business looking for investment, you also want to be there. And tourism, we're covering real estate, we're covering manufacturing, we're covering mining, which I am so excited about, as Africa is the #1 underexplored continent for minerals, but we already know it's the richest, right? So we're so excited to bring all of these experts together. It's going to be jam-packed with value next week, March 14th through the 16th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you can't make it, executive access holders get access to the replays for 1 year. And that's the best part, because repetition is how you learn this type of information. No one is sharing this information. So I'm honored to share it with you on our platform within our ecosystem, and I cannot wait to see you there. Okay, so don't miss this. We'll be going live with a couple of other value creators doing business here on the continent. So stay tuned to this community. Subscribe, follow Traverse Culture here on Instagram and on YouTube. And we'll see you soon, guys. Until the next time.